Okay, so I thought that we would start something called Saturday morning bakes. Hopefully it is Saturday when I launch this. Yeah, I'm someone who, loves baking. I was a former baker. And the only problem with baking when you're not, from a big family is you end up, wanting really just like one bun or like one cookie, and you end up with like 12 of them or like 24 of them. And so it's really hard for me to bake because I don't necessarily like, things too sweet or just having too many baked goods around anyways. But it is a very calming thing to do, and I thought, okay, like for those of you that would like to learn a little bit more about kind of Asian bakery stuff or Asian type, desserts, Saturday morning bakes could be it for you. So today I am going to make the famous Chinese cocktail buns. So one is the pineapple bun, and that's, super famous as well. But these cocktail buns are actually a mix of, it's like butter, sugar, coconut filling. And it is just so fragrant. Outside you have that, classic milk bread, kind of very rich, slightly sweetened brioche dough. Absolutely my favorite when I was younger. And if you don't make these kinds of buns yourself, there's no way that you can find it in any Chinese bakery, any Asian bakery, because it's not a thing. Like, they use eggs, they use butter, they use cream. Like, there's no vegan version of this. So if you want to eat it, you're going to have to make it. And so that's what I will be showing you all today. And interestingly, I just launched my vegan baking class on Skillshare. It took a ton of work. And so in the class, if you all are interested, I do go in section by section of, fats, eggs, dairy, and not only providing substitutes for each, but really going into what does each ingredient do? What is its purpose? Because in order to find substitutes when you're doing vegan cooking, when you're doing vegan baking, you have to know what that ingredient that you're substituting for does in the first place. Like, is it there to bind? Is it there to provide air? Is it there to just provide richness? And that's it. So have a very special section on kind of like molecular gastronomy, special type ingredients like your methacellulose, your xanthan gum, carrageenan. And so if you are interested, I will put the Skillshare link down below. I think you get 3 months off if you use that link. So yeah, where was I? Back, let's bake. So those that know Asian bakery methods, you know about this cooked, essentially flour and water starter. It creates this thickened cooked paste that keeps the bread more moist longer. Okay, so once you have this, set it to the side because you don't want to add this to the yeast while it's hot. So I've dealt with so many of these milk bread type recipes before, and of course I have one in the Vegan Dim Sum cookbook for the pineapple buns, so you can follow that one exactly, but I find that I don't like a lot of fuss. I put essentially everything in, and you want to beat it on medium for about 8 minutes, just until the gluten starts to develop, the dough starts to come together, and then you put a slab of butter in it. The recipe is all going to be down below, and you just pretty much knead it again for another 10 minutes or so until you can do that window pane test where you stretch it out and the dough doesn't break. Now, you're going to realize that this dough is somewhat soft, and I would say err on the side of softer. I mean, you're still going to want to work with it, but initially anyways, we're going to set this to rest and to rise for about an hour.
So at this stage, you'll know, but I don't want to add too much flour to it because it does dry it out. I'm going to let it rise first, rest, and then when I shape it, I'm going to add in a little bit more flour. So there are a couple of steps to this cocktail bun. One is obviously the dough, and then this is the filling, and it's the most delicious filling because it's butter, coconut, sugar. Can't really go wrong with that, other than I needed a bigger bowl. But once you mix it all together, it turns into this paste, and we're going to be making 6 rolls. So just divide it up into 6. We'll put it into the refrigerator so that it hardens up a little bit more so that it's easier to work with. So I think I was working with 2 batches in this portion of dough, but for you, just divide up your dough into 6 pieces, and if you have a scale, all the better, but if not, just kind of eyeball and make sure that they're pretty much the same size. And then what I'm going to do is, because this is kind of in a roll shape, I'm going to roll out the dough lengthwise so that it turns into somewhat of an oval first. And then I'm going to put in the filling and then kind of close up the lip, similar to, I guess, a French baguette. I'm just kind of pinching it up top, so it's kind of pretty much easier that way. And yeah, I have a tendency to overfill things, but you can, I think 2 tablespoons. I mean, the more the better. It's going to be really, really delicious. And then the seam side goes on the bottom, so you can see that that's how it looks. But again, because the dough was a little bit soft, feel free to, don't be afraid to use flour. What you want to do though is to make sure it isn't sticking to the surface, and then afterwards take a pastry brush and brush it off. Still though, try not to use too much flour, as the dough will absorb flour. If you give it more flour, it will absorb more flour, it will become harder. So in some cases, the softer your dough is, really, after it bakes, the softer it will be. And this is more of a softer type dough than, a hard, crunchy, dry baguette. So I recently made hot cross buns for the first time, and I think that this is a similar concept, only it's sweetened, so it's quite nice. It's really this flour butter sugar paste that you pipe on top of the buns, and when you bake it, that piping kind of stays elevated, so it has a little bit of that 3D effect, and really it's just purely for decoration. So you just want to mix that together, stick it into a piping bag or plastic bag and cut off the tip. Have it be kind of thin, and then we'll pipe it and finish off the buns. Ugh, the lumpiness of the dough is driving me crazy. Honestly, we haven't done breads in a really long time, and I think I could have kneaded it a little bit longer just to toughen it out so that we would. Yeah, it was a little soft. I mean, the end result came out really well, but I would have needed that a little longer. So sorry about that. We're going to put some sesame on top, again for decoration, and then we're going to stick it into the oven, and I'll give you the oven times. And then because this is a vegan type dough, sometimes it loses the sheen of, like, if you were to give it an egg wash or if you were to, put some more butter over it. So you can certainly finish it off with some vegan butter. I've actually found that if you mix some like golden syrup or some kind of syrup with a little bit of water and you just paint it over, it actually has that nice kind of shiny effect. And then that way it doesn't get too oily, and it's just a little bit sweet because you've diluted it with some water. And so it turns out really nice that way. Oh, this was just such a super soft bread. It was really nice. Yeah, this was one of my favorites to eat in the Asian bakeries. Oh, I mean, that paste is golden. It's so good. And you're only making 6, so, share it with family and friends. But I hope you all have enjoyed Saturday morning bakes, and I hope to be bringing you all a lot more. So definitely any suggestions, if there's a family recipe from your family, from your country, definitely suggest it. Suggest it to me. I would like to see it. I'd like to try it and, learn some new recipes for myself. So I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you all again real soon.